This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
As technology increases, well, so unfortunately does cybercrime. And today, we're going to arm you with some knowledge to help shield your life's work, your savings, and your identity. I'm Alex Dingman. This is Financial Insanity. And I'm next to, as always, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. Scott, it is great to see you, my friend. And
you too, buddy.
This is important stuff, man. These scams, we know, are out there, and it just gets worse every year.
It's bad. I'm so glad if you're listening right now, I hope you don't just turn your brain off, but turn it on, because these thieves, they come in the daytime, they come at night, they never stop coming to get your hard-earned dollars. So Alex, let's talk about several different issues. It's really ticking me off, because these people that are grabbing your bank accounts, calling for scams, I'm going to give you some illustrations. I want you to be aware, and it saddens my heart that several of our clients have gotten involved, and I'm going to give you some stories that are real, and I want to help you avoid that. Whether you're working with McLean Advisory Group or not, you need to make this stuff real. So, Alex, what do you got? What have you heard about? I mean, this is amazing stuff.
Well, and because the stuff is out there, and there's no point in fighting it. It does exist, and so then it's all about, okay, how are you going to protect yourself? It's going to happen. There is going to be cybercrime. There's always been crime, and then as technology increases, cybercrime comes into the fold. And you know, there's definitely some things that people can do, though, Scott, and one of those things is around their passwords. Can you give people any advice in regards to passwords, Scott?
You know, I found myself making the same mistake. Passwords seem to be the same. So you kind of want to make sure you have your passwords. I use a thing called LastPass. I'm not encouraging you to buy it, but I bought it. I'm using it. It saves a ton of different passwords with one place. Now, Google has their own password protection. Yeah. Then, of course, a lot of our clients, they have their notebook and notepad, and they keep it there for their kids in case they need it. So whatever system you have a system, but don't use the same password for every account. And it's got to be pretty crazy. For example, if I were to put my name, because I know my name is SCOTT, I might put a S as a $sign, C as maybe a little C with an asterisk. O would be maybe an @ sign or O. T might be the capital T, small t, and maybe I'll put some numbers involved, asterisk 1, 2, and then 3 with the $sign. Something weird that you can remember what it is, and then, of course, write it down in your notebook or get a LastPass type of system, Google, but save these. It's really important. Mm-hmm. This is critical. Some weird numbers, weird calculations. I mean, and if you have to change it. So you guys got to have a change your passwords.
That's good advice. And the number, if you have any questions, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And I know my company, they just gave us some recent advice about maybe use song lyrics, because that's the kind of thing that would be
beautiful. That'd
be super hard for anyone to guess, because it's not anything that's real particular to you. So, just think of a song.
Even smarter than mine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, that's, we're here for each other, Scott. We build each other up, my friend.
That's because you young kids know how to get around us old dogs.
Yeah. Well, it's important to, hey, you teach me stuff, I teach you stuff, old and new. It definitely comes together and create something beautiful. But, the great thing is too, Scott, if people are suspicious, because one thing is these companies are never going to straight ask you for your password. Now, when you log in, yes, but as far as calling you or texting you for a password, that will not happen. And I know one key thing here, Scott, is just simply asking a person who's calling, when's the last time I called you? And that's something that can really, throw off. Just don't always just be, and unfortunately, you got to be a little suspicious. And this is just about protecting yourself.
That's so true. It's I mean, just this morning, I'm at the office around 6:30. I'm making some calls to some clients, but some vendors I was working with. I told them I'd call them early in the morning because they're overseas working with another project I'm working on. And it's funny because I got a call, a text on my machine. Please call me right now. This is about your checking account or credit card account. So I said, well, wow, that's pretty different. So I called in the middle of one of my follow-ups, and I call, who's this? Well, this is Mr. with a foreign accent. I won't be foreign accent because I don't want to insult anybody, but a major foreign accent overseas, and they say some things. And okay, great. Just like you said, when did you call me last? Well, they say, yeah, we spoke last week about your let's say website. We wanted to update it, and I need to get into your website. I'm with Microsoft. I need to get into your website because I see there's a problem. Really? What kind of problem? So I'm going to have a conversation real quick.
Yep.
I know it's a fake deal. If your gut tells you it's a fake deal, it's probably a fake deal. If your gut's telling you, I've never heard this before, don't go along with it. The longer they keep you on the phone, the more they win. If they keep you on the phone, the more they win because they're sucking your brain into it. Maybe this could be like a client that fell into that trap. And I can tell you, I'll give that story in a second. When they fell into the trap, they found out that their grandson was in a car accident, and it could be a dead child. This woman got in a car accident. Called my client, which was the grandfather, and they said, hey, Mr. M, we'll just say Mr. M, this is fake name, let's say Juan, and the reason I'm calling is because your grandson got in a car accident. I don't want you to call anybody. I'd like to settle this right now for $25,000. I will come by your house and pick up $5,000 now. Apparently, the woman had a child in her, and looks like the child will not survive. But your grandson caused the accident. Well, Mr. M, my client, got involved. Now, I've known Mr. M for over 15 years.
Yeah.
He gave him the $5,000, but owed him $20,000. But they went to his house. I couldn't even believe this crap. So Mr. M said, okay, I won't tell anybody what's going on. Bottom line, Mr. M calls me and says, Scott, my wife and I are coming down there. I need to pull out $20,000. I said, okay, great. By the way, what is it for? And can I help you? Because nope, I need to have it. Mr. M, I've never heard your voice sound like this before. What's going on? Nothing, Scott. I just need the money. I just need to take it now. I said, how long will it take? I said, it'll take about 3 days to get your money in your hand. Okay, great. Can you process it for me? Yes, I'll tell you what. You need to come in and sign some paperwork. Will you come in? I'll come in right away. He came in right away with his wife, reading their body language. And I've, been in the business for now, 40 plus years, and watching their fear. Tell me what's going on. No, Scott, I'm not allowed to. Oh, you're not allowed to. Why? Well, because I just have to get the money to pay some kind of expense I have to pay. He wasn't telling me.
Yeah.
I've known this guy. He goes to our church. I've known him for years. Everybody knows him. Wonderful, warm guy. And he's saying, Scott, I have to have the money. Finally pulled it out of him. Apparently, I said, did you call the police that your grandson got in a car accident going to the prom and this woman got hurt? He goes, no. I said, well, let's call your son, the father of your grandson. No, I can't call my son. I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Mr. M, we are going to call your son. We are going to call him right now. I'm not going to give you the money. I now have to have my fiduciary responsibility. Either I give you the money and you cannot become a client, or we have to call your son. We called the son and said, by the way, and I was taking care of the call. This is Scott, and I got Mr. M, your dad, on the phone. By the way, and Mr. M, I didn't want him to say a word, and I told him that before the phone call. Mr. M, to the son. By the way, how's your son doing? Did he have fun last night? What did he do? Oh, sure. He came back. Him and his friends went out to play pool with a bunch of friends, and they came back. So he came back. He's fine. No car accidents. Why, Scott? Just want to know if he had a car accident. No, he's fine. You should have seen Mr. and Mrs. M.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're out there, IRS, by the way, real quick sidebar, they're not going to call you. It's
Nope.
Whether it's tax season or not. By the way, if it's a firm that's going to be asking for your password, they're not going to ask for your password. If it's somebody that's saying, look, you owe money, we need to get into your computer, don't do it. This subject today, Alex and I were talking about it, is the theft. These guys and gals are smart. The longer you stay on the phone, the more are you in quicksand, and you're going to find yourself buying their bull stuff.
Yep.
You're going to find this bull stuff. Keep it clean on the radio. And if you're out there and if you've been a victim, and I've had several clients victim, and they ask me, Scott, what do I do now? How do we handle it? Well, I'm so glad our clients lean on us. But there's sometimes you just can't get the money back. If you're even entertaining it, wipe it from your brain. That's where the devil gets his leg on your brain, and now you're going to buy into these stories as Mr. M did. And thank goodness all he lost was $5,000. And unfortunately, we called the other people in the neighborhood to see if there's cameras to see if we could have a license plate, but there was none. By the way, guys, they are smart. Don't follow the crowd thinking they're dumb. They're brilliant. Save your money. I can tell you the scams are going to get much worse.
Yep. Well, and that's why Scott and his team, they're here to help you in any facet when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your long-term planning. And this is the kind of thing that, you talked about that story, Scott. You're a great advocate for your folks. You're going to be there. You're going to be listening. You're going to be questioning. And it's all about looking out for folks. And one of those areas is helping to avoid scams. The number 609-488-4646. Again, that number 609-488-4646. And if you ever do have any questions, you're concerned, this email doesn't look right, this number, hey, I've just won the sweepstakes, but all I have to do is pay this little fee. Doesn't that sound great, Scott? If there's anything significant or something that may sound just a little weird, then don't take it at face value. Give Scott and his team a call. 609-488-4646. Good stuff. We will talk more and more about scams and other ways that we can help protect folks. But right now, we're going to take a pause. When we come back, we're going to be talking about 7 retirement risks to avoid. This is Financial Insanity.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Can we really live the go-go years, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman along with Scott McLean. And
That's
today, that's right, baby. Ready for us. Today, we're talking about 7 easy to avoid retirement risks. We're going to go through them. Easy to avoid. I mean, that's
easy, Alex.
That's
Alex,
what it's. I know nothing's easy, Scott. I know it's all relative, my friend. So maybe easy isn't the right word, but maybe it's possible to avoid these retirement risks. We at least can maybe do that. People look forward to retirement, of course, all the relaxing and enjoying activities that we've not had the time to do. Maybe reading more, traveling, exercising. But as we transition into retirement, there's a lot of things that, we just didn't realize that we're going to be there when we crossed over that threshold as far as our way of living. Yeah. I mean, there are risks to that. I mean, that is one of the biggest fears, obviously, is running out of money. So let's go through these 7 easy to avoid risks. And if something resonates with you, if you have questions, give Scott a call, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. If you have questions, Scott is here to answer them. So, risk number 1, living too long. Explain that one, Scott.
We all want to live long. You think about Methuselah. You think about in the Old Testament. There's only one guy actually kind of walked out of this picture in the Old Testament, and he didn't die. He just went on. I think about so many people. We all want to live a long life as long as it's healthy. And then, of course, challenges. When I was looking in the year 2000, I think 50,000 people, I think you gave me some stats also, that 50,000 people who lived to age 100 or older by 2050 is projected. So I'm kind of thinking about this. And that number is expected, by the way, to reach 1 million. So we're going to live a lot longer. I was reading a book called Life Force. Tony Robbins did. Wonderful book for those of you who really like to read and learn about the new stuff that's coming out, the scientific, the medical journey, what's happening in the supplements. Life Force is a great book. You might want to get your hands on as I was reading it. And we're going to live a lot longer. And the new stuff that's coming out is just amazing. These young kids and doctors that are really just coming around. But we're living too long. And I think that's, as I mentioned before, we're talking about the 7 easy to avoid risks. Well, it's not easy to keep healthy. You got to work out. You got to eat right. We all love sweets, which are very bad for you, but I love sweets. But the challenge is could you live too long? Maybe you think you're going to pass away. I've got a very close friend. We'll call him Raphael. And Raphael is a beautiful friend of mine for many, many years. And when we were doing this planning, he kept saying during the planning stage, well, Scott, my mom and dad died at 65 and 67. I'm 63. I probably will make it to 70. I've got a heart condition. I said, Ralph, my friend, what if you make it longer? Today, Ralph is 73. And he ran out of money. He doesn't have it left. He was burning so much cash in his portfolio. And I said, Ralph, please, you have to spend this. Scotty, I'm not going to make it. Well, he made it. And he is still healthy. He didn't have his parents' ailments. So number 1 risk, if I were to say the 7 easy to avoid retirement risks, this isn't easy to avoid, but you work out hard, obviously. He's doing well. Don't run out of money.
Yep.
Are you planning to live a good long life? I hope you are. And I think that's the hope and dream of that. So number 1 risk, living too long.
Risk number 2, as we're going through 7 easy to avoid retirement risk in retirement. The second one, explain this one, Scott, spending principal.
Boy, what a great risk number 2 as you think about living too long. Imagine living too long and you're spending the principal as my boy Ralph did. And you can spend principal without knowing it. In other words, the stock market goes up and your portfolio went up 20%. You say, well, heck, I'll just take out that 20%. And the next year, the market drops 15%, but you pull out the same amount of money, not understanding that reverse dollar cost averaging, as I mentioned in one of my segments in our shows, that you could actually burn down principal much faster. And the reverse dollar cost averaging, if those of you listening right now, if you're not clear on how reverse dollar cost averaging or dollar cost averaging works, please do yourself a favor. Please, if you have a pen and paper, write this down. Get ready. This is very important. If you're not sure how reverse dollar cost averaging is in light of dollar cost averaging, Write this down, 609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air because number 2 is very easy to avoid, meaning you're not paying attention. And when you're not paying attention to something, here you are living a long life. You got 30 years left, almost like a 30-year mortgage. And in reverse, you start paying the mortgage payments and you're not paying back the principal at all. Pretty soon, you start paying the principal and you're down to zero. My question to you guys out there, are you watching how the money is lasting? Should you reallocate? We spoke in our previous show. We talk about allocating your money in this volatile stock market. Perhaps you need to allocate your money to get some kind of vehicle that'll give you income for life for yourself or yourself and your spouse, your significant other. So both of you have a income that will last a good long time. Because what happens is if you're married out there, have a significant other, well, one of you, if you're married, are going to lose the Social Security. So your husband dies, wife dies, your spouse dies. The highest of Social Security transfers to the other, but you lost a significant amount of money. So I think that's really important. You think about taking a pool of savings worth, let's say, $1 million. You're generating 5% per year. That's $50,000, Alex. Now, Alex, you're getting $50,000 even if you just take a little bit more of that $50,000, just a small amount of your principal of your $1 million savings. It will be depleted. It will evaporate. So when people say, well, I've got a lot of money, well, okay, how are you spending it? Are you being frugal? Or in my family, when you're Jewish and Scottish, you're really cheapish. You really got to watch, am I spending too much principal? It's easy to do, Alex, very easy. So I guess number 1 was living too long, but then you're spending too much money. That's principle number 2. Be very, very careful, Alex. People need to be aware of that.
Man, the whole Scottish and cheap thing really resonated with me. You've never met my father, but yeah. If you heard me right now, he'd be nodding his head. Yes, in agreement. 609.
Well, my dad was the same way. My dad was very frugal.
Hey,
and he watched every dime. You didn't turn the lights out in the bedroom. You get yelled at, and if you don't do it the second time, you might get a little spanking. And I grew up in that, and I didn't understand it. I was pissed, really ticked off that he would get mad at me. But
sure,
I do the same thing with my kids, and now I'm a grandparent. If I see my little grandson turn the light off.
Well, those lessons that the great folks who lived through the Depression and the lessons that they tried to trickle down to people, and sometimes that ended up being your parents who then were telling you to turn the light off because of the bill.
If you'd like to get a copy of my book, The Three Blind Mice, How the Financial Planning Process Leads Your Money to a Mousetrap, please give our studios a call. We'll make it available to anybody. We'd love to help you as long as we have any left, because I think this book will guide you through all of the jungles and the quagmires, the ruts in the road. As you are in your investments with your investment advisor, you ask wise questions. So again, like to throw it out there, if you would like to give us a call at our office. Now, Alex, you were saying that the simple mistakes that people are making: number 1, living too long; number 2, spending down principal. And then I think you wanted me to talk about something that was really hitting all of us right now. What was that? Number 3, Alex?
Inflation, and maybe underestimating it could be a risk for sure.
I bought my house in Ocean Gate, New Jersey, and I paid $42,500. And that was when my mortgage payment was right around, interest rate was around 13.5, and I was happy as a pickle in a barrel. And then I saw mortgage rates jumping up to 16 and 17%. You know what? I felt pretty excited. Then I saw the mortgage rates come so I could refinance and reduce my rates. But this is inflation in the worst and the best. So how do you take care of it? And so we're all feeling it. You're feeling it out there when you go to the pump and you grab that nozzle, or if you're getting it pumped by yourself or having someone do it, and you look at the bill. And of course, I filled up my diesel the other day for $5.98 it was. And I just got 17 gallons, and I'm like, holy bananas. Not that we couldn't afford it. I don't want to overpay. Again, I said I'm very, very frugal, and so I always shop for the best price. Inflation has a way of getting away. Like the price I bought for my house in Ocean Gate, I bought it for $42.5 and sold it for $125 just 3 years later. I got lucky. You think about a baby coming out of the oven, beautiful little kid, beautiful child. God's blessed the child. No matter what condition it is, you're blessed with this beautiful infant. And later on in life, it grows. That's inflation on a child, from a little beautiful kid coming out to now it's a older child. And so the question is, things change. How do you get around it? Well, we want the kid to grow, but we don't want to keep paying more for our products. And so I hear so many stories. It's supply chain, Alex. The supply chain is so bad. That's why we have inflation. I heard that on the radio or TV from one of the government pundits. And there's so many quote unquote excuses, but it's still coming out of your pocket. When you live a lot longer, you're going to be going to McDonald's and you're going to get a Happy Meal. And pretty soon you're going to have to split that Happy Meal with your spouse because it's so expensive. And that's inflation. Inflation could really evaporate your money. When evaporate your money, A, you live too long. B, now you got to spend more money, or you're spending down principal. And 3, inflation is I call it a hidden, the grim reaper. It just shows up, and that could be disastrous.
Scott, we have time for one more. We're going through 7 easy to avoid retirement risk in retirement. Before we take a break, let's go to risk number 4. Staying invested in the stock market too long. We know staying in the stock market for a long time is a good idea generally, but what are we talking about if we're saying staying in too long?
The stock market has market cycles, and I've go this over every one of my workshops, Alex. This is unique that as we speak about the challenges, risks we have, what people don't understand is the stock market history. The history of the stock market has cycles. And if you've been to one of my classes, you've heard me from 1899 to 1921, the price to earnings ratio was around 30 and the market dropped. Then the market took off from 1921 to 1929. This cycle of the boom market took off, the bull market. And it was just from 1921 to 1929. This was a nice short period the market took off. Then it evaporated again and it dropped. And it dropped again from 1929 to 1954. If you're not writing this down, if you're driving right now, this is important. Not understanding the stock market cycles, which is a full stock market cycle, about 35, 36 years. So from 1929 to 1954, imagine pulling money out and the market's dropping for that 25 years. Then from you go that period of time, now we're going into a bull cycle in the market. When the market 1954, the market took a poop. Now it's going to come down. 1966, the market took off. But then it turned back again. It dropped again. So from 1966 to 1982, the market didn't come back. It went nowhere from point to point. Imagine the stock market is at 1,000, and here it is. 25 years later, it's still at 1,000. How you invest your money, staying invested in the long period, for those of you in retirement periods or heading into retirement, this is critical. You pay attention to allocating or putting your money in the right buckets of money that will absolutely not evaporate. Having income that we all deserve, we all want for the rest of your life. So this cannibalization of your money. And here it is from those of you listening right now, from 1982 to 2000 was the fastest bull cycle in the United States history. 1982 to 2000. I studied this because I was ready to get out of the business, Alex. I don't know if you know this. I was ready to leave the business in 2000 to 2003 when the market dropped 50%. And I was told by the big firm I was with, hang in there, don't worry, it'll come back. Why? Because they're worried about the company profits, not about my clients. Then here it is in 2000, the bottom of 2008. Well, what happened? Well, the market dropped from 2000 to 2003, came back by 2007 and broke even, then dropped again, which is people wasn't aware of, 60%, 60. by 2009. Everybody says 2008. Well, the bottom was 2009 and then came back. Imagine from 2000 to 2013, you made no money. 13 years of a done. For those of you that are invested, not understanding market cycles, this is where you want to say, Scott, how does the market cycle affect me? How does it affect my inflation? Am I spending too much principal? Number two, and number one, am I outliving my area? So the 4 areas that Alex brought up with us today, if you're in that boat, please do yourself a favor, do your spouse, your family, your kids a favor. Pay attention, because the next 3 areas we talk about, the unexpected events that are coming down the line, please don't turn me off now. You want to pay attention, because this is critical, because the biggest mistakes in retirement could be made because you're not paying attention, or the advisor's trying to sell you, not educate you. This is important. So please stay on your game. Pay attention to market cycles, as Alex mentioned.
And if you have questions, give Scott a call, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Going through 7 easy-to-avoid risks in retirement. We've done 4. We got 3 left. That is coming up. This is Financial Insanity.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Bellpoint Asset Management, LLC. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
Put your positive hat on. Let's have a call it a come to Jesus meeting. Let's have a real live discussion. Let's get somewhere and put a game plan together.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Welcome back to Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman along with Scott McLean. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, and if you have any questions, give us a holler, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Today, going through 7 easy-to-avoid risks in retirement. And we started this off by risk number 1, living too long. Risk 2, spending principal. 3 was underestimating inflation. And we wrapped up the last segment talking about staying invested in the stock market too long due to the different cycles that we know happen with the market.
Oh, yeah.
So now, moving on, 3 left here. And our first one, another underestimation we can make, and in this one is in regard to healthcare costs. And I know that one's tough, Scott, because people always think that they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof until something happens. And so talk a little bit here about that risk, underestimating healthcare costs.
I went to the Florida and went water skiing, and I haven't skied in almost 35 years. I jumped in the water and I couldn't get up. I used to ski at Cypress Gardens. I skied all over the place, water skied. I jumped, I hang glide. I did a lot of fancy water skiing, and I was mad at myself I couldn't get up. I thought I was 18. In my brain, I was 18 years old.
Right.
My body was a lot older. Even though I do work out and thought I was in shape, boy, healthcare could be expensive. My buddy was saying he did the same thing, and he tried to jumpstart one ski, slalom ski, and he pulled his groin, and he was in the hospital. Healthcare costs, they come up suddenly. One day you feel great, the next day you can't even walk down the stairs. One day you feel like $1 million, the next day you feel like $1 bill or less. And I think the cost of the health care is extra. It's just amazing how it's gone up. Now the government's trying to fix that, and obviously it's not. It's going to continue going up. Hopefully there'll be no medications, new stuff for us. But this means for those of you that are retiring, you got to pick what medication plan, what Medicare plan you're going to pick out, what option is. We want to guide people with this area, and in those people in the 60s, currently the cost of family. The health care is right around $200,000. You figure the cost of someone being taken care of is home health care about $200,000. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say you're going to stay home and have your kids take care of you. That's not going to happen most of the time. Maybe you want to pull money out and you're going to get a full-time health care worker that I have with one of our clients, and his wife has MS. He is taking care of his lovely wife, but he's got a full-time person. He's spending around $80,000 a year, and he's at his own house. So good quality health care. And you now you start throwing into an inflation. That 200,000 could easily be 800,000, or perhaps that 100,000 could be 400,000. It doesn't matter. It costs a lot of money. Pay attention to those areas. Please get in shape, work out. You know what's right to do. We all have 24 hours a day, I guess. And I'm talking to myself, by the way, Alex. Working that extra 1 hour a day, just working out, could be vital, and eating the right food. But healthcare costs are going out of control.
That is for sure. All right, risk number 6. Got 2 left, going through 7 easy to avoid retirement risks. This one here, Scott, changes in policies or government programs. Well, that never happens. What are you talking about?
It never happens. Yeah,
No.
think about they change policies all the time. They're giving away free money the last few years. Now we have rapid inflation because we got too much money chasing too few goods. Now we have another issue, inflationary, which is now hitting our health care, which we just spoke about. And now the government wants to reduce Social Security. Think about Social Security, Alex. It's already slated on the table to be reduced if they don't fix this deal.
Right.
And you think, wait, whoa. If I'm getting $1,000 a month and there's a 23% reduction, which is already slated, well, that means if I'm getting $1,000 a month, that means I'm getting $230 less.
Ugh.
Now, I don't know about you, but that means you have to drive one car, not 2 cars.
Right.
Or maybe buy a Happy Meal and split the Happy Meal with you and your lovely significant others or your kids. It's out of control. So when the government, so that's why we have to really pay attention and we have to vote. I'm not going to go on any Republican or Democrat or independent. You got to go out and vote, but you got to know the issues. And the issues for those of us that are getting older, like myself, Alex, you're a baby. You have nothing to know what I'm talking about, but you got a mom and dad. And the most important thing is, by the way, Alex, is your grandpa and grandma alive?
I do have a grandma who is nearly 100, my friend. Very, very close. Knock on the door of 100. So I do have a grandma on my mom's side, still kicking and loving to see her great grandchildren at this point.
Oh, wow. That is, I got bad genes. My genes are all ripped. My mom and dad died at 74, 75. My grandpa and grandmama, they died at 84, 85. And my mom's grandma died at 86. And my grandfather, my mom's side, he died in an accident driving a truck. So we'll just leave that one out. But I got bad juices. You got good ones. That's exciting. But for those of you who have maybe genes that aren't that exciting, maybe you go to Wrangler or Levi's, but that's not a gene I'm talking about. But the genes of course, government programs, how the government program could change and shift the way you're taking income, the way you pull money out of your 401ks or your IRAs, 403bs. This is a critical change. When the government says you inherit money from your parents, called an inherited IRA, and now you have to pull it out over 10 years. How do you structure, for those of you who are about to receive money, listen to me, about to inherit money because maybe mom and dad or maybe a child passed away, sibling passed away. I deal with this all the time. This is all I do. And this is why you want to watch with the government, how you're going to be taxed. We talked about taxes earlier, but how you're going to be taxing that money and how do you structure this in line of Social Security along with the government rules. This Number 6, changes in policies or government programs could be really disastrous if you're not paying attention to this on a yearly basis, Alex. So please, if you want questions, by the way, I got answers. You got questions, I got answers. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you with it. Give me a call off the air, 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you. Alex, what was number 7? I know there's 7 of them.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to bring it out.
Let's put a bow on this, my friend. Touchdown and an extra point. We got 7. Easy to avoid retirement risk. We laugh a little bit at the word easy, but we're going to go ahead and call this easy. But here's the last risk. Risk number 7, unexpected events. And you've hinted to this, Scott, but you can't plan for everything, my friend.
Can't, Alex. The unexpected events is one of the areas you live too long. We want to live long as it's healthy. You know, guys out there, the unexpected events, and I deal this all the time. The lovely spouse passed away, but they didn't know when they came in for a second opinion that they weren't going to get their spouse's pension. Unexpected risk, unexpected event. And now they're worried about living on cat food versus real food. Now, we also speak about this. I'm not making light of this because this could wreak tremendous havoc on people's lives when you're living on a nice income and all of a sudden it's changed overnight. One day you're healthy. A client came in here and now his beautiful spouse has multiple sclerosis. She was beautiful. She came in here before she had it. Today, she can't even sit up in a chair straight up and down. The disease came out of nowhere. This changes lives. Can you plan for it? No, you hit your knees and you go to the God above and say, hey, Jesus, I need help, or whoever you pray to. I need a plan. I need a game plan. For those of you, don't do it yourself. Get someone who's done it for so many people. Or maybe you have an estate issue. Will, power of attorney, living will, and you go to the hospital and your mom and dad are probably sick or something, and you go there to help them and you don't have the power of attorney for healthcare matters or the power of attorney for financial matters. This unexpected event will pay attention to all the details. So, Alex, and for those people that are younger listening, guys, make sure your parents' legal documents are up to date. Oh, by the way, make sure yours is up to date. Dust them off. Take a look. We don't know what life has. We don't know what's given. The grass withers, the flower fades. But I can tell you the word stands forever. I don't know where you guys stand out there listening to me, but in a wonderful season we're in, we're feeling good today. Okay, great time to plan. Let's plan for the good, the bad, and what's that movie?
Yeah.
Ugly, right? So, and I think when you think about this, because we don't know what lies ahead, because I can tell you the loss of one income from a spouse could be disastrous, or maybe having to take care of your mom or dad and didn't think you had to, and now you have to leave work early. We've gone through that with our clients. I wasn't planning on retiring, Scott, at 61. I know you in our notes, it says you want to retire at 65, 66. Well, my mom needs my help, and I'm going to be taking care of her.
Yep.
Game changer.
And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's the adult child that
oh my
needs
goodness,
more
that's
help.
exactly right. We have special needs kids out there that have to be taken care of. All of a sudden, your child maybe gets in a traffic accident. And now you're raising their kids, your grandkids.
Sure.
Life has a way of sometimes could not unfair, but it seems unfair.
Yeah.
It's what's in the cards. Guys, we just spoke, and Alex brought up in the show 7 issues, 7 concerns that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Concerns that are really important to you as we plan, as we go into a new segment of life, procrastination, or as you're planning for your future, as those going into retirement. We spoke about it. And let me give you a quick rundown, as Alex did very well. Number 1, we talked about your monies, and we talked about several different risks. If you're concerned about your money, that's all we do. 609-488-4646. Seems simple. Seems like you'll never forget it, but it happens. give me a call off the air, 609-488-4640. I'm here for you. Guys, I'm right around the corner, right across from ShopRite. You'll see the beautiful building, the lighthouse. We're here. We're for you. Thanks for taking time with us. We wish you the very best. I hope this is helpful for you guys, as we talk about the risks, the 7 risks in retirement.
Yes, and Scott, you did such a great job going through them. Risk 1, living too long. Risk 2, spending principal. Risk 3, underestimating inflation. 4, staying invested in the stock market too long. You had 5, underestimating healthcare costs. 6, changes in policies or government programs. 7, unexpected events. And if you have any questions for Scott, you can give him a call always at 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. And we
Great
have
job, Alex.
we have more Financial Insanity with Scott McLean coming up.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investment advice is offered through Bell Point Asset Management, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
It seems like nowadays everybody just goes to that cell phone, puts in the address, and then just stares at it, and it tells you exactly where to go. But I remember not that long ago traveling with my dad across the country, and he literally would pull out the map. Big old map. He'd roll through that thing. We'd be circling highways and making marks with pen, and we would get there, and it would be a lot of fun. Alex Dingman here, along with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, Financial Insanity. And maybe that sounds insane to some people nowadays, Scott, to be actually using a physical map instead of just that cell phone. But we're going to talk about that retirement roadmap today. And Scott, special guest with us. Exciting here. We have an advisor who works along with you and has been in the financial industry since 2009. George Costanis is with us as well. George, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this roadmap.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. And Scott, what kind of a traveler are you? Are you just using that cell phone now and just, really brainless about the whole activity at this point?
I am brainless. My wife and daughter always make fun of me because, Dad, why don't you remember where you're going? You're going to get Alzheimer's. You got to stop doing that, Dad. Quit using the Waze app. I said, well, it's very easy for me. And you couldn't have brought it up better, Alex, talking about using a map. I remember using a map myself when I went to Florida to college in Nyack, and the map's flipping upside down. It's blowing in the breeze. It's all over the map, and you make a wrong turn, you have to recalibrate everything you're doing again, and then you lose time, lose effort, lose energy. Then you're starting to maybe say some 4-letter words you never said before, and you get upset. So, but again, by the time, like you said, a good fun retirement or a good fun road trip comes with bumps in the roads, maybe flat tire or getting lost, and there's nothing worse than getting lost. So, Alex, thanks for sharing us the Waze app. Many people are out there using the Waze app. Today, I wanted to talk about, Alex, you asked about a very important thing, which is why I brought George in as an advisor at our firm for such a long time. I call it the McWaze, the retirement McWaze. The Waze app, we'll call it McLean Waze, the McWaze, because retirement comes with a lot of a lot of challenges. I got a phone call this morning, and he said, Scotty, a guy named Ken goes to our church. He says, Scott, I just can't fill out this form to get my taxes reduced. And I said, Ken, why didn't you call us? That's, you're a tax client of ours. He said, well, I just did it myself. And how many people do things themselves, Alex? They try to do things themselves. They end up dorking it up, freaking out.
Sometimes it's hard to ask for help.
Later.
Yeah.
And so I called the McWays. When it comes to retirement, how can we not flip the map upside down, get detoured, tire flat? Because with retirement, it comes with a lot of decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to hear George as well. First, that phone number, if something resonates with you, if you need help with your roadmap, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And George, I know this is a great resource for folks, retirement roadmap. And talk to me a little bit about the idea here, because I know it's the kind of thing that's personal for each person that you would see that, needs help finding that direction.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And, when you're going on vacation and you have a roadmap, I mean, it sure is fun sometimes getting lost or sidetracked, as some of the things Scott pointed out. But when it comes to retiring and having that retirement roadmap, it is no fun getting lost or falling into a ditch. So that's kind of the idea behind the retirement roadmap. You don't want to get lost. You don't want to fall in a ditch. You're only going to do this once.
Absolutely. And that's where you guys can step in. Scott McLean, George Costanis with McLean Advisory Group, really helping guide people through retirement, because you said it right there. You can, hey, have some detours when you're just having a nice leisure drive, but when it comes to retirement, you want to have that planning ahead of time. You know exactly where you're going. And that's where you guys can really step in to say, all right, here's the turns that need to be made. Here's the detour. Here's where there might be a construction zone, that kind of thing, so that you do not have those surprises.
Absolutely. And reducing stress, burning yourself out, having concerns, not knowing what you don't know, that's super important. So having a roadmap in front of you that outlines some of the biggest or greatest pitfalls or road bumps, then absolutely helpful.
I think it's also helpful, Alex, when your spouse, maybe it's the husband that does the planning or the wife does the planning. The challenge if you're listening to me right now and perhaps you're doing all the planning, but what if you get detoured, sick, disabled, Alzheimer, dementia, your wheels fall off, you go see Jesus? One of those areas are gonna possibly happen, and you're leaving your spouse to the unknown, and she doesn't know how to read the map. Perhaps she needs someone, or he needs someone, to help navigate this retirement, because retirement should be the golden years, but I hear a lot of times it's the rusty years. And if you don't have a retirement game plan or a map, it could get you totally off your game. So important to have that roadmap, as George said, because it's psychological. Do I retire? When do I retire? And they're always asking me, since I'm an old bat, I love what I do. The problem is, what are you going to do psychologically first, so you don't burn out and be stressed out, and then all of a sudden left hooks come, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's always good to make a checklist before you travel. What are some things that we need to be thinking about when it comes to this retirement roadmap? And we want to plan this out. We want to make sure that we can get there and have enough finances to make it through what we hope is to be a very long retirement. But what are some things we have to think about before we travel?
I'm going to have George go through that, Alex, real quick, because this is critical. And if you're out there listening, I'd like to get this in your hands. Even though we're trying to make this journey fun, if you get sidetracked, at least you can lean on those people like ourselves who can guide you through it. So this map George is going to give you, we're going to go over to another segment, Alex. We're going to drill down deeper. But I guess I want to have George, when we look at people, when you talk to people on a weekly basis, you probably see 5-10 people a week minimum on top of service clients. What are the biggest things people are failing, they shouldn't fail on, they need to get in their hands to plan the retirement?
There's something definitely out there called impact bias, which sometimes when something first happens to you, it seems bigger than it really is. So I personally think it's super critical to chunk this out and take smaller steps at it. And step one is definitely to take a good inventory of what you have first. and then also where you want to be. So step one, definitely take an inventory, everything you have. This could be pension statement, 401ks, social security statement, bank statements, a list of expenses. What do you want your retirement to look like? What's it going to cost? Take that inventory first, absolutely critical, and then we can move on to the next steps.
All right, thank you, George. And again, that number, 609-488-4646. That number again, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside today Scott McLean and also George Costanis with McLean Advisory Group. Scott opened up the Veterans Benefit Advisory Group in 2008 to help veterans and their families, guiding them to these important benefits. Again, that number, 609-488-4646. The number for Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. And again, a special salute and thank you to all of our veterans.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.